Hello everyone, it's me again. Welcome to the fourth part of our free account Ironman challenge. If you do not know what that challenge means, then you should definitely check out one of my older videos. In short, I am not allowed to trade with any players, accept help from other players, and I play the game as if it was a single player mode. Join me today as I pretend to be friends with dead people, kill wolves made of glass, and question my life choices. Picking up where we last left off, the first thing I did was to realize many of my items will not be retrievable. I will be relying on quest items a lot, and should I lose any of those, they will be gone forever. Thankfully, there is a mechanic within the game called blessings. Thanks to those, you can reduce the amount of experience you lose when you die, and also can completely mitigate the chance of losing your backpack and any items you are wearing. The only downside to that? They cost a lot. The higher your level, the more they will cost. If you are below level 30, then their cost is quite minimal. Being level 31, I had to pay a little bit more than that, but still made a pretty good bargain compared to what people with higher levels have to pay. The only issue with those blessings is, one of those can only be obtained if you are a premium player. Normally, you could buy a charm, an item that grants you a blessing, and activate all 6 blessings without having to journey to the premium area. Obviously, that was not a choice for me. Those charms can only be bought on the market, and my own rules forbid me from using it. Still, having 4 blessings is better than having none, so I made the trip and bought all of them. While I was already taking care of miscellaneous tasks, I paid a visit to a dwarf named Budrik. He asked me to retrieve some sort of ancient mining helmet that was stolen from him by some nearby minotaurs. Having killed his buddies right in front of his eyes, I decided to make it up for him and go grab that helmet. The reward for this quest isn't anything special, it's a very weak helmet that gives off a very weak light. However, completing that quest gives you access to another one. Once Budrik has his helmet back again, he asks you to punish the minotaurs for petty thievery by killing 5,000 of them. Whether the punishment is appropriate or not is beyond the point. Should you finish the task, you will be able to fight a minotaur boss, the Horned Fox. Unfortunately, you can battle him only once. One of his rare drops includes a dwarven helmet, a real one this time. Depending on the amount of damage you take, it could be the best helmet I can hope to obtain on my challenge. I picked up the task now, however I was not going to finish it instantly. I decided to wait patiently, have the task ready eventually, and only fight the Horned Fox during some sort of boosted loot event. The chances still wouldn't be in my favor, but that's way better than the alternative. I spent some time exploring the Minotaur underground, but quickly decided that the EXP rate is not good enough to justify spending too much time there yet. I returned to my favorite spot, the Mount Sternum Undead Cave, and grinded for some further levels. At the same time, I would kill some mummies, hoping to obtain flasks of embalming oil. As you probably know already, it is a secret tool that we will be using later. The moment I hit level 35, it was time for a huge upgrade. Somewhere in the middle of Mount Sternum, there is a tomb of a very powerful ancient wizard. It is still guarded by one of his followers. If you convince him that you knew the man, he will let you inside, or rather sell you the key for 1,000 gold coins. I grabbed the money and answered all of his questions, which were supposed to determine whether I really knew the person or not. Fortunately, those questions are quite easy to answer, with just a bit of asking around. Once we have the key, we can grab all the items inside, a crown helmet and a noble armor. I liked the look of the noble armor in particular. I always thought it was quite a cool looking one, but never really had a chance to use it, seeing how you can just buy the magic plate armor straight away. With that, I decided I was ready to try fighting a new type of creature. East from Khazad-dûm, there is a singular dragon spawn lair. While the battle proved to be quite hard fought and prolonged, ultimately I was able to slay the beast. This opened up a lot of new opportunities. The amount of resources I had to waste on the fight wasn't exactly small, but at least I knew that I was able to fight them successfully now. With that knowledge, I returned to Mount Sternum Undead Caves. This time, I dared to venture into the deepest parts, quickly finding a way to maximize the amount of beholders I would slay, while gaining a lot of additional levels on the side, and also making quite a lot of money from the ghouls. I finally received a rare drop that I was waiting for. Having only slain about 300 beholders, I was a proprietor of the fabled Beholder Shield. While there are better shield options, they would either require me to do some long quests or fight creatures that I need to waste a lot of money and resources on. Of course, I am using two-handed weapons for now, so like you can expect, the main use of the shield would be for training my skills. After that, hoping to ride the wave, I went on to fight some more dragons, and quite soon increased my overall armor rating by 2 points, thanks to the plate legs that one of them dropped. With my gear looking pretty solid already, I was prepared to train on the white deer. They are non-aggressive creatures, however if you push them too far, they might become aggressive. Needless to say, that is exactly what we want to happen. Enraged white deer can defend themselves, attack, not very strongly, and heal themselves, which makes them the perfect training bags. Sadly, if you happen to overhunt them, in other words kill too many in a single day, they will vanish, and in their place there will be packs of starving wolves. In order to bring the white deer back, you have to kill enough wolves or lead them to magic traps, forcibly put them to sleep and carry them over to some sort of hippie NPC. After making sure that the deer would be back the next day, I bought 12 buckets and sprinkled them with the embalming oil. You see, I was on my way to the castle Shadowthorn. Unfortunately, it was on fire. The only way to put out the magical flames would be to pour magical water on them, and the only way to collect the magical water is with magical buckets. Having that base covered 12-fold, I went on my way to prepare Shadowthorn for my next step. Like I mentioned in my previous episode, I said that I would be interested in obtaining the crystal sword. However, I quickly realized that it wasn't the only item that I was interested in. Within Shadowthorn, there are other things of interest for an Ironman like me. First of all, the crystal wolves. Every spot of fire you extinguish has a chance of spawning a thorn fire wolf. If you lead it to the small bog where we take magical water from, it will transform into a crystal wolf. Those have a small chance of dropping a very rare crystalline armor. It has the same armor rating as the crown armor, however it also grants additional immunity to ice. While I don't believe I will be fighting any ice-based enemies anytime soon, it is still a very nice piece of armor to have. Unfortunately, there is a lot of players who are after the crystal wolves as well. They mostly need them for the bestiary entry, and usually are highly over-leveled for the area that those wolves spawn in. In other words, if I wish to compete with them, I am way out of my league. After a bunch of attempts, I was unfortunately unable to secure the armor during that day. I was, however, able to secure my secondary objective. The crazy fire elves, the fire starters, carry around pieces of coal. There is a certain dwarven mine that is partially flooded. You need coal to operate the pumps and unflood that area. That's why, even though the only thing that I could walk away with was the coal, I was quite happy with my progress. I then went to the Poacher Caves, one of the best places to hunt hunters. About 1 in 30 hunters carries around a dragon necklace, a necklace that grants you 8% resistance to fire damage. I probably don't need to explain that it will be invaluable to have the damage resistance when fighting dragons. Once I had a tidy amount of 8 dragon necklaces in my inventory, I went on a short trip around the world. In many different places, you can find different fairy creatures that came with the recent Fairist update. Should you do some minor tasks for the Tooth Fairy, a grumpy stone, and some sleepy trees, they will give you pieces of an old map. It leads to a very valuable treasure, a butterfly ring. It is a unique ring that doesn't have charges. You can wear it all the time and its effects will never run out. It grants you a whopping 2 points of additional armor as well as a 3% damage resistance to death type damage. While you can only wear it after you hit level 50, I decided that since I had the time it would be best to secure it already. At the end of the day, I returned to no longer burning Shadowthorn. Even though the fire starters still swarmed the place, the flames have been put out, and the very next day the bug followers would take control once again. As I looked out in the dungeons on that day, I had a terrible feeling that something was going to go very, very wrong. The next day, the very moment the server save ended and we could log back into the game, it was already too late. Like I mentioned before, every time Shadowthorn is extinguished, only 3 elf overseers would spawn. I wasn't the only person after the elves. There were 3 other players, way out-leveling my character, who killed the overseers instantly, never giving me a chance to even add them to my bestiary. I was prepared to spend a couple of weeks hunting after the crystal sword, hoping for a lucky drop. Since I wasn't able to log into the game 10 AM every day, I could only really attempt to fight the overseers once a week. I was still willing to chase after the sword. However, I didn't take into the account I might not be able to even see an elf overseer before they are dead. Some people did warn me that I would have to compete with other players for the kills. However, in this case there was no competition. Resigned, I had to spend another hour trying to enrage a white deer, hoping to at least increase my sword fighting level a little bit. The inability to obtain the sword really hit me hard. You see, it was on the same day that I decided to add another rule to my challenge. I have seen people finish the Queen of Banshees quest, heavily undergeared, on level 60, by simply running very fast and spamming potions. Having seen those quests done in that way really left a bad taste in my mouth. It made me realize that even though I play on a restricted set of rules, item progression was pretty much guaranteed by the quests, and every single of those quests could be cheesed by simply running very quickly. That's why I considered adding another rule, one that would allow me to obtain quest items only after I have fully cleared the quest area. Without the crystal sword, however, it would be very difficult to obtain certain items, such as the bright sword. In order to finish that quest, you have to fight giant spiders, 2 of them, like 3 times or more. Even if I decided to farm wyverns and get the wyvern fang, it would still be a very tedious process. Wyvern fang only has 32 attack power, 3 less than the crystal sword, and didn't really stay up to the task against a very heavily armored giant spider. And lastly, I said once upon a time that my goal in this challenge would be to obtain the best gear possible. And it just so happened that one of the boys on Discord mentioned that the best weapon wasn't the giant sword. In fact, you could obtain an axe that was 1 attack higher than that. It was a very difficult unlock, but without question, it was the best free-to-play weapon. And lastly, you may have noticed, Skogul the Ironclad's outfit contains a spear. I myself am a huge fan of those weapons, and it just so happens that the only weapon type that contains any spear-like weapons in Tibia are the axes. All those thoughts combined have led me to a singular decision. I would no longer be chasing after the swords. My main weapon type from now on would be axes. Not only are the upgrades more numerous and more convenient, very few of them are actually safeguarded by a quest. Most are simply rare drops from difficult enemies. I hope you don't mind me giving up on swords like that. They are indeed a very viable option, but in the end all those reasons that I gave you pushed me to this decision. In my bag I had a halberd that I stashed some time ago. It is a rather common drop from Cyclops and or Berserkers. It also has very similar stats to the Crystal Sword, 35 attack and slight difference in defense. With that I have access to the upgrade that I was looking for, but first I would have to spend a long time bringing my axe skills up to the same level where my sword skills were when I left off. I grabbed an axe, a hand axe and a sickle and went to the enraged deers. With my sword fighting skill at level 63 and my best weapon, the two-handed sword, having 30 attack, my average damage output would be 93 hit points. With halberd having 35 attack, I would only need to grind to level 53 of axe fighting till I reached the same level of average hits. As you can see, in order to make up for the 5 points of damage difference on the weapons, I would have to grind 10 whole levels of the fighting skill. Of course, the higher your skill level, the longer the skilling takes, which only further affirms me in my decision. I want to be able to make updates as often as I can, and having to grind sword fighting for 10 straight days to raise my skill level by 1 point isn't something I want to resort to too early. And with that we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. Special thanks to everybody who comments on my videos, it means a lot to me. And even specialer thanks to everybody who joined my Discord and helped me talk about theories, strategies and stuff like that. If you want to be a part of that, you can join my Discord. There should be a link in the description of this video. Feel welcome to like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you in the next one.